that going. Hey everyone, it's Ro. I'm the Stone Genius. You're listening to the Stone Genius Podcast. Welcome. Hey, first of all, thanks for listening. If you don't already follow the show, please follow the show. I think rating the show also helps. A producer would be able to tell me that. Hence, that's why I don't know. I gotta lower my seat a little. Wow. That would have felt better in space. I could have just slightly nudged myself into a lower position. I wouldn't even need a chair. Space. That'd be fun. Hey, if you listen to the other podcasts I do with my beautiful wife, Bobby, it's called The Longest One Night Stand with Bobby and Ro. I'm Ro, she's Bobby. And we're now nearing 27 years of a one-night stand. Best one-night stand ever. Or the worst. Either way, think about it. 2 meals you will talk about. Two whatever you would talk about. The best and the worst. So one night stand, this 27 year long, it's either the best or the worst. Either way, we're still together and we're still talking about it. Even if it's the worst one night stand from her perspective, not mine, hers, that's fine. At least it's keeping her with me. If we fell in the middle somewhere, it wouldn't matter. Like, it's an okay one night stand. Not really going to talk about it. Not going to talk about it. If someone asks, I'll answer. No. Best, you're talking about it. Worst, you're talking about it. Doesn't matter. Best meal, you'll talk about it. Worst meal, you'll talk about it. Best sex, you'll talk about it. Worst sex. May not talk about it as much. So this past weekend, that just ended when I'm recording this show, there was a tree. It has been brutally hot until today, brutally hot and dry here in the greater metropolitan Kansas City area, Midwest for that matter. Big tree broke, fell, hit a building next to the pool. Kablam! Right on there. And it got me thinking about, it got me thinking about a number of things. So it damaged that corner apartment, and we know the people that live there. And it damaged, I'm not sure, it's a mother and daughter who live there. I'm not sure whose room, I'm assuming that corner probably is a room. Ooh, that sounded good. Whose room that took the brunt of the branch. That was a nice alliteration. Because I actually think it put a hole in the ceiling. And here's my thing. It happened at, I think 10:30 at night, which would be prime sexing hours for Bobby and me. 10:30's not too late for Bobby, not too early for me, so it works out just right a lot of times. And I was thinking about that if we were having sex in a room, because that's something I have not prepared for. As many branches that fall at this apartment complex, and I'm not talking about little branches, I'm talking about branches that end lives if they fall on you. I would have thought I would have done some sort of planning. I tend to overanalyze situations so I can try to interpret how I would react in any situation that would come up. I have failed. At least I had failed to this point. This would have been this past Saturday, like the end of July 2022, whenever you happen to be listening to this. I had not taken into account my reaction of a branch came through the house, especially during sex. I mean, I injured myself last year, injured my thumb during sex, requiring surgery, which is probably going to require another surgery due to a boxer short accident. This is why I don't wear underwear anymore, people. I'm hurting myself. It's actually doing me more harm than good to wear underwear. I am very cognizant of anyone that's watched Something About Mary, the whole Beans and Franks. I have become very cognizant of that. Do not want that to happen. Wow. Yeah. Wow. It's funny. I am full of hubris. So here's one reason I say I'm better than people is because I can actually admit all my faults and shortcomings. Most people don't want to. They just want to say, I'm great. I don't have anything to back that up. And I don't care if you contradict me. I'll just cry about it. Let me get back to the show with Bobby. So I was talking about the show with Bobby. You need to, if you haven't listened to the show with Bobby, here's a couple things. First of all, the reason this isn't a crossover show, the last few Mondays we've done our show and I've released it on both that and this on Monday. It's because I'm lazy. Once again, I am letting you know that just because I make fun of people or will talk. See, and here's the thing. People think I'm talking negatively about them if I go, well, you just don't want to put in the time or the effort. I'm okay with that. You just have to say, I don't want to put in the time or the effort. Like to learn a new language. I would love to learn a new language. Two things it's going to take, time and effort. I don't want to commit either one of those. I now have a phone that will translate instantly almost any language on the planet. Why do I now need to put forth time and effort to learn a new language? I would love to. I wish I didn't have to put up any headphones or use technology to be able to understand people. But I sure as shit not going to use my time now when I could be watching funny kitty videos on YouTube to learn a new language. Why would I do that? And when I say why would I do that, I think we're all asking the same question. Why would Ro watch cat videos? You're right, I wouldn't. I don't think, I was watching a thing, I know I'm jumping around, sorry, I'm with Clementine this morning. Today's strain, Clementine. So I know I'm jumping around, doesn't matter. Let's see, did I finish with the story with Bobby? Oh, so we did a good show yesterday, and generally our shows are a little shorter than my individual shows. I tend to ramble on a lot longer. Bobby will give me that look like, okay, let's wrap this up. So we did go for just over an hour last night, which is a little longer by probably 10, 15, 20 minutes, somewhere in that neighborhood. And we went over, and the last probably 10 to 15 minutes may have been the best part of the show. So what we're going to have to do now, if you haven't listened to it and you want to laugh, I believe you will if you listen to the last couple minutes. We laughed. So here's the thing. Regardless of whether the intent of me sending you there is not to make you laugh, but you can listen to Bobby and I laugh. We will readdress what we talked about next week, much earlier in the show. Spoiler alert, it was about if a good-looking person and an ugly person are somehow fucking, who wears the bag? Because Bobby and most people will say, oh, put a bag on their head. That's what you would say. If you were a Chad, incel will know what I'm talking about. The manosphere will know what I'm talking about. So if you're a guy and you're with someone that is less than, doesn't meet the standards that you generally, whatever. The chick's uglier than what you're used to fucking. That's what I'm saying. Typically, people would always be like, well, I put a bag on her head so I don't have to look at her face. I'm like, they're ugly. Why wouldn't you put a bag on your head? I would put a bag on my head. And then I would just close my eyes and hope that, I don't know. I've never understood. Put a bag on the, no. So that's some of the stuff that Bobby and I talk about. That children. If you haven't listened to the wedge pillow, we tell you about all the fun sex acts that can be done with the wedge pillow. Actually, I think we only talk about one sex act that we do with the wedge pillow. Still worthy investment. There are some things that you spend money on and you're like, I don't know if I should do that. For instance, at the pool, we ended up buying like a couple years ago, probably 4 years ago now, we ended up spending like $120 to buy a raft. Yeah, that's what we thought. So here's the deal. We bought one of those, if you've ever seen them, the outrageously expensive foam, and then they're covered with it, whatever, rafts. And the reason we finally purchased that raft is we had heard someone, and theirs did not look, the raft made the story she was telling us believable, because she said that she had had the raft for like 20 years. And it was pretty beat up. Like the edges, like it had been maybe dragged around and stuff. Just when someone had said, I have a 20-year-old raft, you'd be like, what? And then you looked at that and go, well, if I was going to imagine a raft for the pool that would be 20 years old and what it may appear like during its 20th year, her raft would 100% fit that picture. That could be a stock photo. That being said, she's had it for 20 years. So we had always bought, there's always new raft technology. Where the tube is, does it go around the outside and the inside's mesh? Well, how about if you're different weights? How about if you're different, all these different things going in? So we finally broke down and bought that raft, and it is amazing. It's just amazing. I mean, I don't know if I'd buy another. So we have one. So it's like one of us will like be laying out on our stomach and the other one will be laying in the back on the raft, and then we have to trade places because I do love the raft. We do love the raft. I don't know if we love it enough that we would purchase a second one. However, I should get the name of it. It's on there. I should find out who it is and send out a little, see if I can, whoop, whoop, a little, whoop, whoop. Do I have notes for this show? I don't even think I made notes for this show. Oh, I did. And this goes to the genius people. Stoners. You guys just do what you do right now. And I got to tell you, my Clementine, this strain right now, I don't know the exact term I could use in any other language besides English. It is just very good. I very much like it. I was going to try something like, I was going to, doesn't matter. So this, stoners, do what you do for a minute. And then geniuses, this may be for you. And it may be more localized. So this is what I think this is what started us down the road. Now, I don't know how we started with Love Island, the TV show Love Island UK, to Who Wears the Bag. And then we went in. So my wife had a question whether I thought anyone on the TV show Love Island, which there are many different iterations. She very much likes the Love Island UK. It's the accents. She asked if anyone that was on a genius. Now, I will tell you this from my perspective, and I know this is one reason I think maybe I would be more well accepted, not that I care, if I may hesitate in my answers. Like if someone says, do you think you're better than me? And I immediately answer yes. I'm not always sure that the person is in disagreement with me. I do believe that they would be in disagreement maybe how quickly I answered them. Because I get that all the time. Once again, I use everything to my advantage. That's why I just love taking in, absorbing information. Like I will tell you, I do not think our pool people listen to this podcast. So sometimes when I'm down at the other end, doing my thing, being in the deep end, well, they're all in the shallow end. Yes, that is a metaphor, but yes, it also explains the segregation in our pool. I'm at the deep end and they're all in the shallow end. But sometimes I will hear comments used, and it's my thing. If we get into a disagreement, is to throw you off kilter. However that is, whatever tact I need to use. First of all, whatever I'm saying, doing, I don't have any feelings towards something one way or the other. So I don't think that I'm trying to maliciously attack. Generally, if we're just having a disagreement, it may be fun, not for you, for me, for geniuses. It may be fun to like push you. If you've ever seen someone like, I want to say like on a tightrope, and then they start to they look all right, and then they start to lose it, and then they're shaking, and they're trying to catch their balance. That's what I want to do. I do think it's enjoyable watching people, because to me, I either get to see them fall or I get to see them recover. And if they recover, that shows something to me, if I can push their button. So I will just say, it doesn't matter who, but there is one person who I now know does not like to be shushed. I don't know what happened. I just heard the after effects of it, but this person does not wish to be shushed. So here's me. If I ever want to throw that person off, all you have to do is shush them, because they seem to have such a passionate reaction to being shushed. I found it somewhat comical. I don't understand, and this is why I do think that I'm on the spectrum. I don't understand feelings like that. And Bobby and I talk about this all the time, that I just don't process information that way. I am just taking in facts, because facts are really what matters. Feelings don't matter. And everyone wants feelings to matter because it will make their point more... It should show some sort of empathy if they are able to show their point of view. But I really, like, my parents love to do that. My mom. Like, if I would say, hey, if I don't make it through the surgery, thanks for being sick. Oh, we know you're going to make it. No, you don't. First of all, you're not a doctor. Second of all, you don't know shit. Thirdly, what type of surgery am I having? That's because so after the election, and so here's one of the things. Here's one of my things that I have about. So after the election, people said, I don't believe that Trump lost by whatever it was, 7 million votes to Biden. I don't feel that's possible. I don't feel that's possible. I don't know how that worked out either. But it doesn't matter. You don't get to just say, I feel like the outcome should be different. And that's the problem I have with conservatives now. If you listen to them, that any outcome where they do not win is the wrong outcome. Just saying that's not how democracy works either. So getting back to the Love Island. Bobby had asked, she goes, and I think that's when I started laughing, because she asked if any of them were geniuses. And I said no. Because there's just absolutely no way. I make the rudest, snarkiest comments on there. First of all, I don't think... I get it. You young people don't care about attractiveness anymore. They're not attractive. That's what's going to draw your attention. If it's an ugly... Well, I guess it's the ugliest too. I don't want to see that on a TV show. I was about to say if it's the ugliest billboard, that's not going to attract your attention. But once again, best, worst, prettiest, ugliest. Doesn't matter. The two extremes are what's going to attract attention. So these people that they're putting on that are 3s and 4s looks-wise, I mean, none of them would I walk... If I walk through that pool area, because they're almost always at a pool, if I walk through that pool, there is not a single... I take that back. I do not recall a single person that would make me do a double take. I walked into a bar on a Friday night during February in Kansas and saw Bobby, and she still caught my eye. So, and she was fully clothed. I wish she would have been wearing a bikini at that point, but she was not. She was fully clothed in the bar. She was maybe fully drunk at that point too, but... and it worked out for me too. Whoever wears the orangest coat or the least orange coat, I'm just kidding. I was wearing a old Buccaneers parka, which was creamsicle orange is the color's name. And she was staying at the bar and she saw me too walk in. Who's this amazing looking tall drink of water wearing a hunting jacket in a bar? Not a hunting jacket. It had a huge pirate on the back. So let's just dial it back, Bobby. I'm now putting words into her mouth about how she rated or felt about my attire the night that we met. It obviously did not matter. She went home with me. So Love Island, so we started talking. I said, no way that they're going to stick they just wouldn't be able to do it. It would be utter carnage. They would either have someone in there that was just so, they would have the opposite of me. They would have someone in there that just couldn't communicate, so introverted, just so super genius that couldn't even talk and would almost just break down hearing all that dumb shit that they're talking about. And then you would have me that would just lay waste to everyone in there, just literally telling them. And it's more of a help. That's what I'm doing. I'm just helping. If someone says, I fill in the blank. If I disagree with that, I will tell you why I disagree. And guess what? It's not feelings. I don't feel like you're that tall. Like, I like it when people will talk about being tall and they're 6 feet tall. Yeah, I'm tall. I have to shop in the adult section. Congratulations. And I will say that. I'll be like, someone will come in to where I work and they'll be looking for someone and they'll say, oh, well, they're like short. And I'm like, everyone's short to me. And I don't give a shit how people receive that or anything I say for that matter, because all I'm saying is 99% of the world is shorter than me. It's 6'5". So me saying everyone is short to me is not really hyperbole. But anywho, you can't have those disagreements. So I would lay waste. Like if someone said, well, whatever, it's the conversations. Bobby would have to, because I don't even know what I'm saying. I hear them and I will make comment and then I apologize. But I go, I'm sorry. And then I have to leave the room because I just can't take it. I can't keep my mouth shut. I do not suffer fools lightly. So then Bobby and I started talking about whether you could do a reality show that people would even want to watch if you had 20 geniuses together on like like trying to find love connection. Now, I will tell you, there are a lot of people, not me, there are a lot of people that joined high IQ society so that they could communicate with someone of the opposite sex or the same sex. They could communicate and find someone that they were interested in on multiple levels, an intellectual level, maybe an intimate level, whatever that may be. And because that's one, you don't, if you like cowboys, you go to a cowboy bar. You don't go to a hip hop club in downtown Chicago, probably. I don't know that. But you go to where, whatever your desires, whatever you're looking for, that's where you go. So here, and you have to do it, because if you do not do this, gosh, I use glory holes a lot as an example. If you don't do this, it would be like going and cutting a glory hole like at McDonald's and then expecting something. If you're into the glory hole thing, you need to go to places that have glory holes, because then people will probably have similar interests to you, and then maybe you can have a relationship. If you're into glory holes and you cut one at McDonald's, you will probably still, see, when I'm talking this out, you will probably still find a relationship. It will probably be one that will be less than consensual while you're in prison. So you go to where it is. And so I was like, I bet they could, because there are actually videos on YouTube that you can find. I think it was 60 Minutes back. I know it was 60 Minutes back in the 90s, I believe, they interviewed people from Mensa, International High IQ Society, Mensa. I was a member of that back in the 80s, early 90s. I am actually through the 90s and now with a different career. I may go back. So the reason I left real quickly is because when I was with them, the internet was not as prevalent as it is now. So there's SIGs or special interest groups, you would actually have to go. So you would get some sort of newsletters, literally something in the mail, or it would be posted at not kidding, the library or something. You would find something, you have a special interest groups for Mensa members, and then you would meet and you would talk. People of high IQ can have peculiarities and quirks just like myself, and some have them even more extreme than what I do. So those were interesting. I did not find them fulfilling. And I never once went, oh, yeah, that's a hot genius over there. And I don't know why my voice changed when I went there into a surfer dude from Cali, but evidently it did, man. Anyway. I know that they talked about how some members were joining Mensa so that they could meet a partner, because you want someone that, I've talked about it before, is going to be at least within one deviation of you so that you can carry on a conversation. I'm going to come back to this because I'm going to use the metaphor of the pool again. So the pool this weekend, super hot. Everyone was in the pool the whole time. So there was not anyone really just hanging out on the edge of the pool. I was in the deep end on my raft. Everyone was else in the shallow end having their time. Bobby, who isn't there this weekend, but Bobby typically can hang out with me in the deep end, and then still a metaphor. She can go back and hang out with them. That's what she allows them, because she's wedged in between genius and average. She is able to go. It's perfect. I mean, and I talked about this with her last night, I believe, on the show, or at least at some point, how she's able to do that. That I can't go down there. I am not comfortable. And it has nothing to do. I'm not seeing, this is the thing. I'm not telling the pool people change your conversations. I'm just saying thank you for leaving me out of them. And I do believe that they know that. I mean, I believe Bobby's probably talked to Warren. I know that they do listen to the other podcasts, quite a few of them. So I appreciate that because it is not comfortable. Some people get upset when I say that. And this is what I always, you shouldn't be getting upset. I should be getting upset that you're so stupid. That's what I want to say. Probably not the best comeback, but it works. When I want to talk to someone that isn't Bobby, the only place I know I can go to now is our little Big Brain community. And I'll throw something out there. I'll ask something. Dang. I forgot what I was talking about before. Darn you, Clementine. I don't know what that voice was. It was something. It was a voice. But it was something. Oh, geniuses. Right. Let's get back to this. Love Island dibbity doops. Here's one reason Bobby, she loves the accents, but she likes the words they give stuff. And shoot, I got to ask someone from the international, someone that listens to the show in the UK. Is Do-Bit Society, is that an actual term? Or did they just make it up for the show? One of the shows they were, I guess if they had sex and they were entering into the Do-Bit Society. So I don't know if that was just a euphemism or, I mean, maybe the Do-Bit Society is like a fight club, but for sex in the UK. I don't know. So if anyone from the UK or that's traveled to the UK or knows anything about the Do-Bit Society, please let me know. Once again, I will always tell you all this. Do not let me borrow your phone, computer, laptop, tablet, anything that I could reach the internet on. Not that I am not legally allowed to be on the internet. I am. It's not like I'm Hugh Jackman from Swordfish. There's a movie reference where he couldn't get on the internet because he was like a hacker. Never mind. So I just wouldn't. So if I Googled Do-Bit Society, see, and I would probably go, if it didn't give me the returns I wanted, then I'd be like, Do-Bit Society XXX. You know, just to make sure that I got enough responses, that I could view them and to determine which Do-Bit Society I believe they were talking about. So we want to find out whether Do-Bit Society is an actual thing or just made up from the show. But we're talking about how interesting, I just wonder what those conversations would be. So here you have 20 geniuses. First of all, they're not going to be at the pool. So that would be funny. So this could be like the winter edition. So you don't have to think about, like in these shows, they have to think about location, location, location. It's got to look good from every angle. So you have to have pool and lounge area and stuff like that. I'm trying to think of what you would need for like a genius Love Island. And it may not even be on an island. There may be too much about what's the most efficient, economical, and environmentally prudent way to get to an island. Where they're like, couldn't we just all meet in a field in a tent with hand warmers? I don't know. I don't think that's the direction they would go either. But I'm telling you, they probably don't need a pool. That would be funny, though. I would love to host that. And then make them uncomfortable. That would be even better. I think I'm going to have to... I always talk about how I don't like producing this show, but I think I'm going to produce this TV show. Because I think it would be hilarious. The conversation... Because it would have to be like 24 hours streaming. And we may even have to pay people to watch. And like your webcam would have to see your eyes open, that you are watching. Or you have to take a test without internet access, so you couldn't cheat. You'd have to actually take a test to prove that you had, in fact, watched the show. What did they talk about? Oh, they were talking about Stoicism. Never knew so much about Stoicism. Never even heard the word Stoicism. We were just laughing because Bobby's like, she goes, it'd be like watching you, which would be difficult for others. Like Bobby can, and we have a long history too. So that helps. I think that every year that passes, it's not that she appreciates me more. It's not that she is better understanding my genius or level of genius better. I think that she's just giving less of a shit. Like her shitometer is dropping year by year. Stuff that I would have said or done previously is less cumbersome now than it was. Just, it would be where before it may have been a squeeze of my arm to let me know I shouldn't have said that, or maybe a talking to later in the evening after we return home after a night out gaily dancing around Kansas City. I think that she just doesn't give a shit anymore. Like I'll say something and be like, "That's Rodney." Dun 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 dun. It wouldn't be an island though. It would probably be like some nondescript computer room, and we would probably have to geek them out too. Like instead of having it a poolside area, it would be like a 1960s computer room. And I don't mean like a room, like if you say computer room now, you're thinking, oh, well, you're thinking like at least one computer or multiple computers in a room. I'm talking about computers that took up a whole room. Like everything was done on those reel-to-reel data transfer. That was our technology back then. Like the same technology that is currently in my prostate massager, I bet you there is more technology in my prostate massager, and I just don't want to limit it to my prostate massager, any sex toy, that there is almost more technology in these sex toys that are available to you today, sexual wellness products, that there's more technology in that than what took men to the moon the first time. I will also mention this, because I forgot. I tweeted, "Hey, NASA, have human beings had sex on the International Space Station yet?" Not exactly a tweet that at NASA was, but then International Space Station's like at space_station or I don't know, something like I'm pretty sure I did it correctly. It had a blue check mark. Have not heard back. And you would think of it, they hadn't. It would be a quick, simple denial. Just, nope. So it leads me to believe that they could just be, oh, we didn't see the tweet. And we meant no. That's what we meant. They've seen it. No, people aren't tweeting about NASA. That's not, I don't remember the last time NASA was trending, but it hasn't been this lifetime. Or this universe. I don't think NASA is trending. And we would probably be nervous if they were. Why would NASA trend? Meteors or asteroids? I really should know the difference. I think I do. I think asteroids enter our atmosphere, meteors fly by. I'm just making that up. I literally have no idea. I'd ask my friend, but I'm not going to. So I need to look that up. A's versus M's. Now I'm going to be wondering, because I'm going to be asses versus mouths? Not bad. That'd be a good name for a porno. Or a game show, a sexy game show. Ass versus mouths. So, anyhow. Anyway. Let's see. So it'd be a computer room. Sexy would probably be, like, the girls would be over. I don't know if they would gossip either. I've never been around genius women. I mean, like, physically, like, in the same presence of them, or in a plurality of women who are genius. Usually not in a plurality of men that are genius either. Couldn't recall the last time. Anywho, anyhow, anyway, I wonder if they would gossip. Like, they'd be like, did you see his pocket protector? Oh, he had so many pins in there. And then there'd be like the bad boy who would still keep like a compass. And I'm not talking like compass so you know direction. I'm talking the little stabby thing that at least we used in the 70s. And I believe was used up through the early aughts. I'm almost positive our children had compass in their little... So it was the sticky thing, and then you could draw like yeah. So like that would be considered the bad boy. And then they would have someone like me come in, and then they would be like feeling is he really a genius because he acts like an alpha, and he's an idiot, but somehow he's in this house with us, not house, computer room with us. So I think that I just don't know if they would gossip. And what would Guy say? What would Genius Guy say? I'm gonna have to produce this show. It is gonna be the least watched show, but once again, most watched, least watched. So it will probably be the least watched streaming show ever. But I think it should be mandatory. Because Bobby mentions on our podcast, and she will mention at any time how painful it is to deal with me. Her to deal with me. Like, if you all think you have it bad, think about having to spend a lot of time with me. And like by law having to. I mean, we have a piece of paper from the government, which means she is mine, I am hers. I needed to make sure that I said it both ways. Otherwise, it sounded like one of us was in a slave type situation. And I did not want it to seem like that. So she thinks it would be funny to watch people. Because they would just be like, and actually, maybe that would be good. Maybe that's what people need. Maybe people need to see genius because they don't. And we got to stop dumbing everything down. We got to stop changing words to make them seem less harmful. PTSD, PTS is what I've been heard it called last time because they said that it was a disorder that it would be genetic or lifelong. I don't know whether that's true or not. World War I called shell shock. It's always been there. But now you give it letters. You take away, you try to dummy that down. It should be impactful. The number of veterans that commit suicide on a daily basis is shocking and appalling. We should be doing something about that. I don't know how I delved off my Love Island to that, but people should have to watch and see what's going on in the mind of a genius. You need genius around. You really do. Because guess what? You don't get to sit in your house, stuff your face, watch 50 straight hours of television if it wasn't for genius figuring out how to get your fucking food from restaurant to door without you having to get off the couch or order anything. I mean, it has to take a genius to go to, I'm going to start an online bookseller, to I'm going to control the planet. Thank you, Jeff Bezos. I don't think he controls the planet. It's the reptile aliens that control the planet. That's why it's getting so warm. They are trying to readjust our climate, change our climate so that it's more conducive to them. So they can come out of the hollow earth. See, I wonder if that would be a debate. And I wonder whether the conversations... So like on Real Love Island, yes, I'm still on Love Island. Yes, I'm still about the genius version of this. On Love Island, like the guys and the girls, they'll talk to each other, but they really want to try to get the do-bit society. They really want to get at the opposite sex, the people across the other side of the pool. I wonder if like Genius, whether they would get... like the guys, instead of talking about like, hey, how's my hair look? Should we do a couple? Is today leg day? And two things. I don't know whether any of those are actual conversations from the show. And B, I know that I didn't use a UK accent. Sorry. I will watch the show more often. I do think that me watching a show like that and someone watching the exact opposite show like have the same exact adverse effect. I don't think that an average person would watch a Genius Love Island and be like, this is the show I've been waiting for. Because there's not going to probably be any sex on it. Very rarely do geniuses enter the one-night stand realm. And if they do, it's by accident. It's because they're a hot genius and someone fucked them and then said, oh, I can't communicate with this hot person. I'm out of here. That happens. I'm sure it happens the other way. I saw a video with Jordan Klepper talking about Trump people, and there were these two people, these two women, ladies, girls, young girls, whatever you want to call it, whatever. A brunette and a blonde, very attractive. If you saw them at a bar, easily 9s. I don't know. I would have to say Bobby was a 10, but I think a 10, I think 9's the best you can get at looks, and a 10 is there's just something else there. That's why Bobby was the 10. She 9 in looks, but then there was just something that new. So the very attractive girls. Then they opened their mouths. I mean, I couldn't, and I don't think that they were kidding. I just find it hard to believe that no matter how bad you want to chase fame. See, they obviously wanted to be on the camera, and so that's fine. So they wanted to be on camera. But the questions that were being asked and the answers or the inability to answer the questions was so appalling by me. No. I mean, seriously, like if I would have been... I think Bobby would be like, if we were somewhere, because Bobby has pointed out people before. I remember one time we were like, wow, you can see that girl's thong. You know, so she's not adverse to pointing things out. And I think that she, like if we're at the table next to him, she'd be like, oh, those girls are really attractive. And then, nothing wrong with that. And then, if we heard them talk, it wouldn't matter. I am so lucky. This is why I believe that there is a God, a almighty being, a universal present, whatever you want to call it. I was raised Christian, Protestant Christian. I go to a Methodist church. I know I don't sound like that, but so that's my view. That's what I was growing up with. If it ends up being lizard people from Uranus, I'm fine with that too. I'm very fluid on we know who really is behind this. We know who the person behind the curtain is. That being said, I don't know where I was going with that. Dang it. See, Clementine's running off, and this is where I need Bobby to go, oh, this is what you're talking about. Anyway. Who's really made it to 50 minutes? Tim, and that's it. Actually, I know there are a lot of you, and I thank you for listening every time I put out a podcast. Oh, I don't even think I got around to saying that's why I was putting out this podcast. I think I started, geez, I'm horrible at this. This is why I really need a co-host on this show, just to keep me on the rails. Or at least say, hey, you jumped off track, let's get you back on track at some point. But one of the reasons, if I mentioned it before, then Clementine was doing a lot better than she is now, because I've already forgotten. But one of the things about doing the show I'd been putting out on both is that I was being lazy about doing that. But I'm also honest about that. I'm also saying I'm too lazy to do a separate show, so I'm just going to put this out on both channels. I do know there's a lot of people that listen to each show because obviously they are very independent. There's no way Bobby would let me get away with the shit that I do on this show. She would rein me in, change the subject, smack me upside the head, whatever the case may be. Whatever would be, she would not physically assault me. I did not mean that. But she would rein me in. So I appreciate it. Now I got A's versus M's. I know it's going to be ass versus mouth. See, I said that, and now I can't remember what it's actually about. Well. Do-Bit Society. Geniuses. We'll see if we can make that happen. Guy, that would be weird. I don't even know what they talk about. Like the guys. I think that's what I don't think I finished that thought. That was the thought. That they would just start talking. They would never go. The girls would be like, oh, I hope Dexter comes over and talks to me. Dexter just sounded like Cornelius. No, see now Dexter's a serial killer. Cornelius is a guy from the Yukon that abominable snowman and stuff. So whatever name you need to fit in, that's what the ladies there are like. I would be very interested if he would come over and talk Pythagorean theorem with me. But then they would get lost. The guys would be over there talking about Icarus and how he should have used different wax for his wings, and if he would have taken a different flight plan and not have gone that close to the sun, his wings wouldn't have melted and fallen back to blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, you can understand how difficult. Man, that would be a weird show. That'd be it would be more like of a movie. I think they try to make it into a show, but then turn it into a movie. So someone could just consume it in like an hour and a half. Because I do think it's hard. I do know that there are times Bobby wants to walk away from me. Probably not for the rest of our lives, but probably for the next little bit. Like seconds, minutes, hour, maybe. So I'm sure. So I do think that would be hard. No one's going to say, like, Bobby will watch episode after episode of Love Island. And I think they put one out every day. So she, doesn't watch it during the week and then she binges it. I don't think that could be done with Geniuses. I'm not even sure I could do it. And I enjoy some of the conversations. I know, I'm different, I'm weird. It's all right. Okay. Well, will there be another show this week? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. I need to title the show. I think it's going to be Who Wears the Bag? And I'm telling you, if you ever find yourself... So let's say... I believe there are some states where having sex with farm animals is still legal. Let's just use a hypothesis or we're going to just be in a make-believe universe where that could happen. and you're kidnapped, and you're not going to be released unless you have sex with a cow. Would you rather have the cow have a bag on its head or you have a bag on its head? Actually, in that instance, I may put the bag on the cow's head. Once again, I don't know why the last couple of minutes of the shows are always so good. Just like sex, you should just jump to the end. Yeah. If you made it this long, thank you. I applaud you. The audience here applauds you. There is no audience here. I'm in my living room. I got a dog sleeping on the ground. She's been very quiet. I very much appreciate that for her. Let's see what's happening. I don't know. I may do another podcast this week. I may not. We'll just see what happens. But thank you for joining today's podcast. My name's Ro. I'm the Stone Genius. You've been listening to my podcast. It's called The Stone Genius. Thanks for listening.